won't bring you off balance.
No, no.
If we just make sure that door closes behind us. So we're going to go up to about 60 stairs now, so just nice and gently. When the cathedral was first built, they would have had somebody locked in here overnight to look after the building, and this was the fireplace they used to keep warm.
Wow.
So the chimney sort of snakes up and goes out behind the statues on the west front. So nice and gently.
Oh, wow.
It's a completely different feel, isn't it? You get an idea of how the cathedral was built here.
And this wood is the original
It is.
structural elements?
This is all oak, and this dates from about 1240.
Wow.
And you can see all the wood is correctly jointed with the mortise and tenon joins. And you can see how the sort of curved pieces of timber they've got here.
Wow.
Behind the wood you can see the white lead work there. That was all stripped off during the English Civil War, used for musket bullets and cannonballs and things like that.
Wow. Amazing.
So if we move down here, mind the slope as you come down.
There's graffiti from 1878?
Yeah. Wow. The oldest I can find is 1428.
Wow. Oh my heavens.
It's quite a nice view, isn't it? So we're on the west front and we're looking down the whole length of the cathedral now to the blue window there, which is at the east side. And you can see that the cathedral is divided into 3 different levels. Down below is called the arcade layer. We're currently on the triforium level, sometimes called the blind story because there's no windows here. And then above us we have what's called the clerestory level or clear story because it has the clear glass letting the light of heaven into the cathedral.
And that's the term used today architecturally in houses and things like that.
Absolutely, yeah. Now I said that this cathedral was never designed to have a tower and a spire on it. So in 1310, so about 70 years after the cathedral was finished, they put 6,500 tons of stone on top of a building that wasn't designed to take it. The building complained. So if you see my green light on the wall opposite,
Yes.
and follow that into the centre of the cathedral, can you see how it dips down?
Wow.
So on this side as well, you can see how it dips down there. So that's the weight of the tower and the spire pushing the whole centre of the cathedral down. And in the centre, you might notice that the pillars there are all bending outwards. So they've all been bent out of alignment. So the cathedral's been used for nearly 800 years now, and it's needed lots of repairs doing it over time. And in 1790, it needed so many repairs that they closed the cathedral for 3 years. And they invited a very famous architect called James Wyatt into the cathedral to do some repairs. And one of the things that he did is he took out all of our stained glass and he threw the whole lot away. And he put back the plain glass that you can see around the cathedral now.
Was there a reason for that?
Well, stained glass is very expensive, so to repair it would have cost a lot of money. Plus the plain glass let a lot of light in to brighten it up.
Right.
In about 1819, they found some of that glass that had been thrown away, and they used it to make this window. So this window is literally a jigsaw of bits and pieces of glass they found.
Wow.
Plus they brought some glass in from France to help sort of make up the figures and so forth. Imagine putting that together as a jigsaw. huge.
And jigsaw in that it wasn't all meant to go as one single window.
Absolutely.
And they made all the designs
Absolutely.
fit, I see.
Absolutely. Apart from, along the bottom you see these shields.
Yes.
These are complete original medieval shields dating from about 1260. And in the centre here we have three very important shields. We have the shield of the king of the time, King Henry III, his wife Eleanor of Provence, and then her brother King Louis IX of France. So very significant, important people of the time.
And this is original painting on there,
It is,
the
it
lion's
is,
faces?
Yeah. It was restored in the year 2000, but it is the original glass. Yeah. I find it quite interesting. One of the shields they've got here, this is a made-up shield, and it's got an image of the devil, but you can see they put the devil's head at 90 degrees, so very, very out of kilter.
Oh, looking down.
Yeah.
Oh, now I see it. Yeah.
It just doesn't match, does it?
He's very lizardy.
Yes.
Wow.
So that hopefully gives you a nice view of the cathedral. And what we'll do now is we'll go back down. And it's referred to as a foliot clock as opposed to a pendulum clock, because the foliot is the dancing clown that you can see on the top there, swinging his arms around.
And when you say it chimed every hour, it just was designed to ding once? Or per the hour?
Per the hour, so 2 for 2 o'clock, 3
wow.
for 3 o'clock, and so forth. So the right-hand side here is the bit that keeps the time,
Right.
called the going train. The weight falls during the day, causing these wheels to go round once an hour. And then at the end of the hour, this side is called the striking train, comes into play, and it strikes the bell the appropriate number of times for the hour. In the 1990s, there was a big dispute about whether this was the oldest clock in the world, and they had a trial with a prosecution and a defence, and people had to submit evidence to prove that it was the oldest clock in the world, which thankfully at the end of that, they all agreed that yes, it was.
It was found guilty.
It was, well, proven that it was the oldest clock in the world. So we're very proud to have that. Which we use for baptisms. It was put in 2008 to mark 750 years since the cathedral was consecrated, first used for services. You can see it's in a cross shape, representing the Christian faith, and it has 3,000 litres of water that wash away the people's sins as they're baptised. And it's got a beautiful still surface along the top there, which is great for reflections of the cathedral.
Oh, yeah.
So if you sort of crouch down, you can get the whole cathedral sort of doubled up into a reflection.
Would you like to come and help me?
Help you?
Yes.
Yeah, I'll
Okay.
help you. Would you like to hold my carrier?
This is, you remember when we were down there, I said how far the water was below us? The water? Yes?
4 something.
4 feet?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have here a lovely dipstick, measured in feet and metres. Oh, there we are, feet.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4
Yeah.
feet down to there. Okay, so it's all dry. Well,
Right,
fairly.
so what do you want me to do then?
Put it down there.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
It's right down into its
Yeah,
slot.
right down as far as it would go.
Well, that's it then, is it?
Well, yeah, that's it.
That's it.
And lift it up again and see where it's wet to.
Well, hopefully it'll be.
4 feet.
Yeah.
It always is to within an inch or two.
So you can see the
Oh,
wet.
I've
You
got
can see
it.
the wet marks around
I've
here.
got
Isn't
it.
it?
You can see them. Yeah, there you are.
Yeah.
It's about an inch below. That's all. Nowadays the river is sluiced very carefully. Obviously we don't want it to get too high because otherwise it will flood. But also equally important, we don't want it to get too low in the dry season because if that gravel bed that I was talking about dries out, then we'd be in real trouble.
We don't have foundations, or we have 4 feet of foundation, but we have 27 feet of gravel. So the 27 feet of gravel is the floodplain for the river.
Wow.
So over millions of years, it's brought sand and gravel onto the floodplain, creating 27 feet of gravel, 4 feet of foundations. Means we've got a really solid base.
And so what was that stick? Is it...
Well, the floodplain, the water level, the water table during the summer is 4 feet under the cathedral.
Wow.
So if we have a wet winter, the water table comes up, and if it comes up too far, as the gentleman said, it comes up through the floor and we get wet feet.
Right.
If it goes down too far during the summer, then it dries out and the sand and the gravel becomes very loose. So what the gentleman was demonstrating was we're measuring how much water's under the cathedral. If there's too much, we can open up some gates on the river to flow out. If there's not enough water, we can open up the gates to allow water in to hold the sand and gravel together. So that's what that was for. So answering your question, we don't have a crypt.
Okay.
The tower and the spire is directly above us now. And when we were on the west window, I talked about the centre being pushed downwards.
Yes.
And just to prove that point, if you see my green light, you can see here, there's the step demonstrating how the centre of the cathedral has been pushed downwards.
Right.
And then if we move this way, and if you look up this pillar, you can see how it bends at the top. So the weight of the tower and the spire has bent it.
That's not good.
Well, it must have been a bit scary at the time. Crossing, and we're now in what's called the choir, and today it's where the choir sings. The seats that we have either side of us were put in 1236. Wow. And they're called choir stalls, and the priests would have stood in these choir stalls for hours on end. And we all know if we're standing up, our legs get very tired. So the design of these seats was designed to help them stand up. You can see that the curved top allows them to rest their hands on the top there, just to take the weight off their legs. And then if we just move this way very slightly, we can see an example of one of the seats that they've got here. So the priest would have stood here, and you can see when the seat tips upwards, this extra piece of wood comes from underneath the seat, and they can just rest their bottom on that, rest their hands on the top. So these seats are called misericords, and they take mercy on the legs of the priests.
Like misericordia, like that word. Yeah,
absolutely. Yes, I mean.
Oh wow!
Misericord,
Wow.
Running along the tops of the seats, you'll see all these names. When the cathedral was built, it owned vast quantities of land. And a new priest came into the cathedral. They were given a portion of the land to look after. So it might have been a farm, a forest, an estate. And those areas of land are called PrepIns. So we had 52 priests here. We have 52 PrepIns. And these names that you see around here are the names of the 52 PrepIns that we've got. And for people familiar with the area, they would recognise these names as towns, villages around the area.
Wow.
And even today, the priests get assigned that name, even if we don't own that land anymore. The cathedral has the seat of the bishop. So this very grand seat here, this is where the bishop sits.
So the difference between a church and a cathedral is the cathedral has the seat of the bishop, which is right
and
there.
that seat is called a cathedra. And that's where the name cathedral comes from. It's a very grand seat for him to teach us about the Bible and so forth.
And he would be in charge of a region?
What we call a diocese.
A diocese.
Yes. So the Sarum diocese is about 2,000 square miles.
Wow.
576 churches. So he is in charge of that.
And is that typical for what a bishop would oversee?
This one's quite large. I think it's the 7th largest in the country. But the person that looks after the cathedral is called the dean. So the bishop looks after the diocese, the dean looks after the cathedral. So for us, we have a female dean, and she is responsible for the running of this cathedral. It's a place to gather. So there was a big wall separating the religious East from the non-religious West, and this is this wall here. In 1790, when they closed the cathedral for the repairs, they took that wall out and they put it here. So this is called a choir screen, and you can see the decorative angels with the original medieval paint. And there would have been statues in each of the alcoves and things there. But it gives you a feel of what the cathedral would have been like, because it shows you that it would have been painted, giving it lots of colour, very decorative with the carvings. By reading chapters from the Bible, so that's where the word chapter comes from. As well as a meeting room, they use this as a training room, and as you look around the room, you'll see all these carvings going around here. We have 60 of these carvings. Each one tells a story from the Bible. So we've got the creation scenes here, creation of Adam and Eve and the animals, the day of rest, Garden of Eden. We come through the tales of Noah to Noah's Ark, the Tower of Babel, Sodom and Gomorrah, Lot and the Pillar of Salt. So story about the Bible, ending with Moses just behind me up here. Today we don't use this as a meeting room, we use this as an exhibition hall, and we're very lucky to have one of the original copies of Magna Carta.